You know, for the better part of 2 weeks, New York's political circles had been buzzing over Governor Cuomo's Moreland Commission mess here. That is the anti-corruption panel that he formed, then reportedly steered away from himself and political allies. At least that's where the allegation goes. After all that, he decided to pull the plug on it once we had a budget deal in early spring. But while political circles have been talking quite about this, we don't know how this story is playing with the voters. And oh yes, Andrew, it is an election year.
Well, we know now how it's beginning to play with voters. Rich, yesterday, just as this program went off the air, the first poll of New York voters since the Moreland story broke was released. The takeaway, the governor's numbers took a hit, but not a big hit, and it didn't seem to hurt him in his re-election campaign. The biggest impact, according to the NBC4 Wall Street Journal Morass poll, was in Andrew Cuomo's favorability rating. It's now at 53%, the lowest he's had since taking office. But that same poll also shows Cuomo keeping his firm lead in the race against Rob Astorino. Cuomo now up 31 points in this poll, 54-23. His lead is down 4 points since last month. Cuomo's numbers down 5, but Rob Astorino's also down 1. Both of those numbers, by the way, inside the poll's margin of error. And here's why. While 62% of registered voters think Cuomo's staff shouldn't have had any involvement in the work of the Moreland Commission, as the Times reported it did, and 52% think Cuomo's staff acted in an unethical manner, only 23% view the Cuomo-Moreland issue as a major factor in either their vote or in the election. And keep in mind, that 23% number exactly matches Rob Astorino's total support in the poll against Cuomo. So put it another way, Moreland is a big issue for Astorino supporters, but Cuomo backers don't seem to care. At least not yet, Rich.
Can you think of a scenario where they will care?
I think if indictments come down from the U.S. attorney that come very close to Cuomo, if let's say Larry Schwartz is in the hot seat and there's word that he's starting to drop the dime on Cuomo, this seems vaguely familiar to what we talked about with the Christie stuff, with the bridge scandal. If it gets too close to Cuomo, if it seems like he broke the law in what he was doing to try to keep this thing away from him, then yeah, I think there's the potential. But voters are predisposed to re-elect Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be significant. It's going to have to be major and really shake the foundation.
I would have thought there'd be a little bit more. I wouldn't have thought he was going to be this thing neck and neck, but I would have thought that this thing would have had a little bit more of a hit. It hasn't.
It's the middle of the summer. That's the point I made, that there was good news and bad news in this for Cuomo. The good news is no matter what is going on right now, it's the dead of summer. No one's paying attention, and it still appears he's going to lose.
But if
this story had broken in late September or early October, do you really think it'd be moving the needles?
No. Astorino has not defined himself yet. Cuomo is defining him, and that's bad news for Astorino.
All right, when we come back, a sad goodbye, but for a life well lived. James Brady, his brush with gun violence and tragedy took him from spokesman for Ronald Reagan to spokesman and advocate for greater gun control.